Cities are supposed to be symbols of progress, shiny skyscrapers, fast trains, and endless possibilities. But sometimes things go horribly wrong. When too many people, too little space, and bad planning come together, you don't get a city, you get a concrete nightmare. We're talking about traffic so bad it lasts for days. Buildings packed so tight there's barely room to breathe. Neighborhoods built right next to toxic waste. And apartments so small they make prison cells look roomy. This isn't science fiction. These places are real. From suffocating slums to eerie ghost towns, we're about to take a tour of the worst urban disasters on Earth. Some are overcrowded, some are abandoned, some are just plain bizarre, but every single one is a warning of what happens when cities grow too fast, or without thinking at all. Welcome to the dark side of city life. These are 50 examples of urban hell on Earth. 1. Kowloon Walled City, Hong Kong. Imagine a place where 35,000 people lived with just 6.4 acres, about the size of 4 football fields. Welcome to Kowloon Walled City, once the most densely populated spot on Earth. This towering labyrinth of interconnected buildings lacked formal infrastructure, with residents navigating a maze of narrow corridors, exposed wiring, and makeshift plumbing. Despite its chaotic appearance, the city functioned with unlicensed dentists, schools, and factories operating side by side. Controlled for years by triads, it was a haven for illicit activities. Yet, amidst the squalor, a tight-knit community thrived until its demolition in the early 1990s. 2. Dhaka, Bangladesh. Traffic gridlock. In Dhaka, a simple 9-mile journey can take up to 55 minutes, even at midnight. The city's rapid urbanization has outpaced its infrastructure, leading to perpetual traffic jams. With an average speed of just 5 kilometers an hour, the congestion costs the city millions in lost productivity daily. Illegal parking, narrow roads, and a lack of pedestrian-friendly spaces exacerbate the chaos, making daily commutes a test of patience and endurance. 3. Shibuya Crossing, Tokyo, Japan. At Tokyo's Shibuya Crossing, up to 3,000 people cross the intersection every 80 seconds. Surrounded by towering screens and neon lights, it's a mesmerizing display of organized chaos. While efficient, the sheer volume of foot traffic can be overwhelming, especially during peak hours. This iconic intersection epitomizes Tokyo's fast-paced urban life, where personal space is a luxury and the flow of humanity never ceases. 4. Tondo, Manila, Philippines. Tondo is one of the most densely populated districts in the world, with approximately 69,000 people per square kilometer. Once home to the infamous Smoky Mountain landfill, the area has long grappled with poverty and crime. Narrow alleys, overcrowded housing, and limited access to basic services create challenging living conditions. Despite efforts to improve the area, Tondo remains a stark example of urban neglect and the struggles faced by its residents. 5. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Favelas and inequality. In Sao Paulo, sprawling favelas like Heliopolis and Jardim Colombo highlight the city's stark economic disparities. Residents often live in precarious conditions, lacking access to clean water, sanitation, and reliable electricity. While community initiatives have made strides in improving these neighborhoods, the challenges of overcrowding and inadequate infrastructure persist, reflecting broader issues of urban inequality. 6. Caracas, Venezuela. The Tower of David. The Tower of David in Caracas was intended to be a symbol of economic prosperity, a 45-story skyscraper in the heart of the city. However, construction halted in the 1990s, and the unfinished building became home to thousands of squatters. With no elevators, residents navigated the tower's heights via makeshift staircases, creating a vertical community in a structure never meant for habitation. This improvised living arrangement highlighted the city's housing crisis and the resilience of its inhabitants amidst diversity. 7. Lagos, Nigeria. Makoko Floating Slum. Makoko, often dubbed the Venice of Africa, is a floating slum in Lagos where homes are built on stilts above the water. Lacking formal recognition and basic services, residents rely on canoes for transportation and face constant threats of flooding and eviction. Despite these challenges, Makoko thrives as a vibrant community, showcasing human adaptability in the face of environmental and governmental neglect. 8. Cairo, Egypt. City of the Dead. In Cairo's City of the Dead, centuries-old cemeteries have become home to thousands of people. Families live among tombs and mausoleums, repurposing these spaces into makeshift dwellings due to housing shortages. This coexistence of the living and the dead underscores the city's struggle with overpopulation and inadequate housing solutions. 9. Mumbai, India. Dharavi Slum. Dharavi, one of Asia's largest slums, houses over a million people in a 2.1 square kilometer area. Despite its cramped conditions, Dharavi is a hub of economic activity, with numerous small-scale industries operating within its confines. However, residents contend with poor sanitation, limited access to clean water, and the constant threat of eviction, highlighting the complexities of urban poverty. 10. Jakarta, Indonesia. Sinking city. Jakarta is sinking at an alarming rate, with some areas subsiding by up to 25 centimeters annually. Over-extraction of groundwater combined with rising sea levels has led to frequent flooding, displacing residents and damaging infrastructure. The city's rapid urbanization, coupled with inadequate planning, has exacerbated these issues, prompting discussions about relocating the capital to mitigate the impending crisis. 11. Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, a city choking on coal. Ulaanbaatar gets cold. We're talking minus 40 degrees kind of cold. To survive the brutal winters, most residents rely on coal-burning stoves. Now imagine over 500,000 people doing this every day. The result? Some of the worst air pollution on the planet. On a bad day, the smog is so thick it feels like you're breathing through a dirty sock. Schools shut down. Hospitals fill up, and visibility drops so low it's like the whole city just disappears into a gray, toxic fog. For the people of Ulaanbaatar, fresh air is a luxury they can't afford. 12. Norilsk, Russia, the frozen industrial wasteland. Norilsk is a city built entirely on top of permafrost, and next to one of the world's largest heavy metal smelting complexes. That alone should tell you how bleak things get here. The air, poisoned by sulfur dioxide. The ground, tainted with heavy metals. The snow doesn't fall white, it comes down black. If dystopia had a poster child, Norilsk will be it. Most outsiders can't even visit. It's closed to tourists. For locals, leaving is just as hard. Welcome to the coldest circle of urban hell. 13. Beijing, China. The Great Wall of Smog. Beijing is a city of innovation, culture, and air you can chew. During peak pollution seasons, the smog gets so thick that skyscrapers vanish into the haze. Residents wear masks not just during pandemics, but all year round, just to survive a walk outside. Kids grow up breathing in more toxins than fresh air, and hospitals see spikes in respiratory issues every winter. Sure, the city has taken steps to fight pollution, but on bad days, Beijing still feels like you're living inside a giant cigarette. 14. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Rubble and ruin. After the devastating 2010 earthquake, Port-au-Prince was left in pieces. But what's even more heartbreaking is how little has changed since. Many residents still live in makeshift shelters or crumbling buildings that look like they could collapse at any moment. The roads are battered, access to clean water is a daily struggle, and poverty runs deep. It's a city that's been knocked down and never really given the tools to stand back up. 15. San Francisco, USA, the tech capital's other side. San Francisco may be home to billion-dollar tech empires, but it's also facing a brutal housing crisis. Sky-high rents have pushed thousands onto the streets. Tent cities line sidewalks. Needles and human waste are common sights in downtown areas. The wealth gap here is so wide it feels like two cities stacked on top of each other. One lives in glass towers with robot butlers, the other sleeps under tarps in the rain. 16. New Delhi, India. The city you can't breathe in. When the air in New Delhi gets bad, it doesn't just feel like smog, it feels like smoke. Schools close, flights get canceled, visibility drops to horror movie levels. And the scary part? This isn't a once-in-a-while thing, it's seasonal. Every winter, crop burning from nearby states, industrial emissions, and traffic mix into a deadly cocktail of pollution. People are forced to stay indoors, invest in expensive air purifiers, and hope their lungs survive another season. 17. Kinshasa, DRC. Chaos in the capital. With over 17 million residents, Kinshasa is one of Africa's fastest growing cities, but also one of its most chaotic. Many roads are unpaved. Public transport is a mess, electricity and water are unreliable at best, non-existent at worst. The city has outgrown its infrastructure by decades. For people living in Kinshasa, the daily grind isn't just about going to work, it's about surviving potholes, power cuts, and the kind of traffic that makes you question reality. 18. La Rinconada, Peru. The city above the clouds. and the law. La Rinconada sits at 16,700 feet above sea level, making it the highest permanent settlement in the world. It's a gold mining town, but don't let that fool you. There's very little glitter here. There's no running water, no sewage system. Crime is rampant, and since there's no official government presence, the town basically runs on chaos. People live in freezing temperatures, scraping a living from dangerous mines in one of the most lawless places on Earth. 19. Mexico City, Mexico, a city that's sinking. Mexico City was built on a lake bed, and now it's sinking. Literally. Some parts of the city drop by over 12 inches a year. That's faster than Venice. Combine that with over 20 million residents, brutal traffic, and chronic water shortages, you've got a recipe for disaster. Water pipes burst regularly. Roads crack and buildings tilt like they're a Salvador Dali painting. It's a city in constant slow-motion collapse. 20. Paris, France. A beautiful mess underground. Above ground, Paris is all romance and croissants. But underground, it's chaos. The Paris Metro is one of the densest subway cities in the world, and also one of the most outdated. During rush hour, it's a sweaty, claustrophobic nightmare. Add to that the ongoing strikes, constant delays, and overcrowded platforms, and you've got a public transport system that feels less like City of Lights and more like City of Fights for a seat. 21. Cairo, Egypt, where traffic never sleeps. Cairo's traffic is legendary, and not in a good way. It's less urban planning and more urban roulette. Lanes are more like suggestions, horns are the national language, and crossing the street, that's an Olympic sport. But it's not just about the traffic. Pollution, overcrowding, and crumbling infrastructure make the city of 22 million feel like it's constantly on the verge of a breakdown. And yet, somehow, people keep pushing through it, every single day. 22. Lagos, Nigeria. Booming city, broken roads. Lagos is Africa's largest city, and its energy is unmatched. But with that comes chaos. Gridlocked traffic stretches for hours, basic services are patchy, and power outages are so common they've become background noise. The population is growing faster than the infrastructure can keep up. Add in a housing shortage and flooding during rainy seasons, and life in Lagos can quickly go from vibrant to volatile. 24. Manila, Philippines. The struggle to move an inch. In Manila, it's not uncommon to spend 3 hours commuting just a few miles. The roads are jammed, public transport is outdated, and floodwaters can rise in minutes after a heavy rain. Slums sit next to gleaming malls. Wealth and poverty are in a daily staring contest. And with rising sea levels threatening the coast, the future looks even more uncertain for this congested capital. 25. Agbogbloshie, Ghana. The e-waste graveyard. Agbogbloshie, a suburb of Accra, has become infamous as one of the world's largest e-waste dumping grounds. Toxic chemicals from burned electronics contaminate the environment, posing severe health risks to the residents who salvage materials for a living. The area, often referred to as Sodom and Gomorrah, is a stark example of environmental injustice. 26. Naples, Italy. Trash trouble in paradise. Naples has a trash problem, like an actual garbage issue. For years, political corruption and mismanagement led to literal mountains of waste piling up in the streets. Fires were lit to get rid of it, filling the air with toxic smoke. Behind the beautiful buildings and world-famous pizza, there's a darker side. One where criminal groups control the waste industry and locals worry about what they're breathing in. 27. Mesa, Arizona, USA. The concrete suburb. Mesa epitomizes suburban sprawl, with vast stretches of concrete, minimal green spaces, and a car-dependent infrastructure. During summer, temperatures soar, and the lack of shade or public transit options makes daily life challenging, especially for those without personal vehicles. 28. Karachi, Pakistan. Running on empty. Karachi is Pakistan's financial engine, but it's also constantly teetering on collapse. Water shortages are routine, garbage pickup is inconsistent, power outages strike like clockwork. It's a city trying to keep up with its own population explosion, but the roads, hospitals, and public services are stuck in the past. And when monsoon season hits, entire neighborhoods turn into lakes. 29. Detroit, USA. From Motor City to urban decay. Once the heart of America's car industry, Detroit was booming. But after factories closed and people fled, entire blocks were abandoned. Now the city is a strange mix of empty buildings, overgrown lots, and glimmers of revival. In some areas, it feels post-apocalyptic. Schools shuttered, houses crumbling, and a deep sense of what was and what might never return. 30. Nairobi, Kenya. innovation meets inequality. Nairobi is a city of extremes. On one side, you've got tech hubs and skyscrapers. On the other, massive informal settlements with little access to clean water or sanitation. Traffic is a beast. Public transport is chaotic. And rapid urban growth has led to dangerous levels of pollution and crime. It's a city racing into the future while dragging a mountain of unresolved problems behind it. 31. Vorkuta, Russia. The abandoned Arctic city. Once a thriving coal mining town, Vorkuta has seen a significant population decline. Many buildings are abandoned, and the harsh Arctic climate adds to the desolation. It's a chilling example of how economic shifts can lead to urban decay. 32. Kolkata, India. Jam-packed and crumbling. Kolkata has history, culture, and character, but also chaos. The narrow streets are always clogged. The old colonial infrastructure is buckling under the weight of 15 million people. And in some neighborhoods, power outages and water issues are daily events. Add in open sewers, decaying buildings, and severe flooding during monsoons, and daily life can feel like a gauntlet. The charm is there, but so is the struggle. 33. Kinshasa, DR Congo. A city without a plan. Kinshasa is one of the largest cities in Africa, and it's growing fast. But that growth, it's totally unplanned. People build wherever they can. Slopes, floodplains, anywhere. As a result, landslides and floods are common, and when they hit, there's little warning and no backup. Roads often disappear during the rainy season, electricity and running water sporadic at best. For many residents, urban life here means surviving, not thriving. 34. Beirut, Lebanon. Broken systems and blackouts. Beirut is a city in limbo. Following a massive explosion in 2020 and years of economic collapse, the entire urban infrastructure is hanging by a thread. Power outages can last up to 22 hours a day. Garbage lines the streets. Water systems are unreliable. People run homes and even hospitals on generators. The city's beauty and history are undeniable, but so is the deep exhaustion of living without working systems. 35. Mirmine, Russia. There is this big hole in the middle of town in Siberia. It's called the Mir Mine, and the town around it, Mirny, was built because many diamonds were found there. It's over 525 meters deep and 1.2 kilometers in diameter, making it one of the largest excavated holes in the world. The town's economy is heavily dependent on diamond mining. Living conditions are very hard because it's so remote and super cold, sometimes below -40 degrees in winter. 36. Tehran, Iran. Traffic, smog, and surveillance. Tehran might look modern from a distance, but living here is another story. The air pollution gets so bad in winter that schools and offices shut down. Traffic doesn't move, it crawls. And public transport is packed to the brim. But it's not just the environment. Surveillance cameras and internet restrictions add a layer of tension to everyday life. You can't breathe freely, literally or figuratively. 37. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Growing pains on overdrive. Addis Ababa is expanding rapidly, but the infrastructure just can't keep pace. Construction is everywhere, but so are potholes, power cuts, and long water shortages. Sidewalks? Optional. Public transport? Overloaded and inconsistent. And while flashy high-rises go up downtown, much of the population still lives in informal settlements with tin roofs and shared toilets. It's a city sprinting into the future with its shoelaces untied. 38. Los Angeles, USA. Homeless in the City of Angels. LA is supposed to be glamorous, but take one wrong turn and you'll see the other side. Tent cities, broken sidewalks, and streets lined with trash. The housing crisis here is severe. Over 75,000 people in LA County are unhoused, and many live in encampments right next to luxury condos. Traffic is a daily nightmare. Pollution levels are rising, and for a city so rich, the contrast is shocking. It's Hollywood meets human suffering. 39. Caracas, Venezuela. City of shortages. In Caracas, basics like electricity, water, and food aren't guaranteed. Blackouts are routine. ATMs often don't have cash. Inflation is so out of control that buying groceries can mean carrying a backpack full of bills. The roads are cracked, the buses are ancient, and public trust in government is practically non-existent. Daily life is a juggling act, except all the balls are on fire. 40. Temirtau, Kazakhstan. The snow is black. In Temirtau, winter brings snow, but not the kind you'd want to play in. The snow here turns black due to heavy industrial pollution from nearby steel plants. Residents often wake up to soot-covered streets and a sky that seems permanently gray. Breathing clean air? That's a luxury in Timurtau. 41. Norilsk, Russia. A city frozen in pollution. Norilsk is one of the northernmost cities in the world and among the most polluted. Home to massive nickel and palladium mining operations, the city experiences acid rain, smog, and contaminated soil. The landscape is stark, and the environmental toll is evident everywhere you look. 42. Luanda, Angola. Vertical slums. In Luanda, rapid urbanization has led to the rise of vertical slums. High-rise buildings, initially constructed for middle-class residents, have been overtaken by squatters. These structures often lack basic services like water, electricity, and sanitation, turning them into towering symbols of inequality. 43. Guryong Village, Seoul, South Korea. A slum amidst skyscrapers. Nestled in the affluent Gangnam district, Guryong Village is a stark contrast to its surroundings. Makeshift homes, narrow alleys, and a lack of basic infrastructure define this area. It's a poignant reminder of the socioeconomic divides that can exist within a single city. 44. Naypyidaw, Myanmar. The empty capital. Naypyidaw was built to be Myanmar's grand capital, featuring wide boulevards and massive government buildings. However, the city remains eerily empty, with vast stretches of road devoid of traffic and neighborhoods lacking residents. It's an urban planner's dream turned ghost town. 45. Guangzhou, China. Anti-homeless architecture. In parts of Guangzhou, public spaces have been modified to deter the homeless. Benches are designed with dividers and spikes are installed in sheltered areas. These measures prioritize aesthetics over compassion, making the city less hospitable for its most vulnerable residents. 46. Tianducheng, China. The fake Paris. Tianducheng was developed as a replica of Paris, complete with its own Eiffel Tower. However, the city remains largely uninhabited, with empty streets and unfinished buildings. It's a surreal blend of European architecture and Chinese ghost town vibes. 47. Petare, Venezuela. A maze of inequality. Petare is one of the largest slums in Latin America, characterized by densely packed homes, narrow alleys, and limited access to basic services. Crime rates are high and opportunities are scarce, making daily life a constant struggle for its residents. 48. Johannesburg, South Africa. Fenced in. Joburg is a city divided. Rich neighborhoods are fenced, guarded, and camera-covered. Outside those zones, basic services falter. Power outages and rising crime levels turn daily life into a constant state of alert. 49. Skopje, North Macedonia. Europe's smog capital. Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia, consistently ranks among the most polluted cities in Europe. In December 2017, it topped the list with levels of PM10 particles exceeding the World Health Organization's recommended limits by 12 times. The pollution is a result of combination of household heating using coal and wood, emissions from old vehicles, and industrial activity. During winter, the city's location in a valley traps pollutants, creating a persistent smog that severely impacts air quality and public health. 50. Naples, Italy. Beauty choked by waste. Naples is gorgeous, but beneath the charm, a garbage crisis that never ends. Corruption and mismanagement leave trash piled in alleys and on sidewalks. The smell sticks around, and so does the dysfunction.